It's about that time of day again here, boys and girls. Welcome back to our nightly newsletter. My name is Joseph James for your newsletter for August 11th, 2014. Today is Monday, August 11th. Boy, we are making our way here through the 8th month of the year. You got those kids ready to go back to school yet? Boy, we got 2 more weeks here, and those kids go back on the school bus. I think they still use school buses, right? When I was a kid, and you guys can chime in on this, when I was a kid, though, it was very, very few people didn't take the school bus. Do kids still take the school bus these days? Shoot me a comment below the video. I'd love to know if your child or if the kids in your neighborhood, do they still ride the school bus? Or has the school bus been hawked at auction now to buy books, right? I know a lot of these towns have here in the United States, been on furlough, right? Where the teachers take vacations longer and they don't pay them as much. Yikes, what a crazy world we live in. Anyways, school bus or not, we have an exciting, jam-packed newsletter for you guys and gals this evening. It's a Monday, and boy, do we have an exciting session ahead of you. We've got 3 goals here tonight. First of all, we'll talk about what happened today. Second of all, we'll talk about what's on the schedule for tomorrow. And third, well, you know how we always do it, right? We save the best for last. The last thing we'll do tonight is we'll grab those charts, we'll put together some strategies, whether the market goes up, market goes down, or the market goes sideways, you will be ready. By the end of tonight's newsletter, you'll know exactly what happened today so you can impress your friends. You'll know exactly what's in the schedule for tomorrow so you can set your alarm clock accordingly. And you'll know exactly what your strategy is going to be if price goes up, down, sideways, or wherever it might want to go tomorrow. And boy, have these markets, the way they're looking right now, they could go anywhere for tomorrow. In tonight's newsletter, we'll talk first here about what happened today. And boy, the markets were all over the place. But wait. Before we jump into that, though, I can't forget. I need you guys to go over to sidewaysmarkets.com. So get over here to the blog. Sidewaysmarkets.com is our trading blog. And yes, we are one of the most popular trading blogs on the web. You can indulge in all the miscellaneous tutorials we have on our blog here today. Now, there's the reason why I want you guys to follow the link below the video if you're watching this on our YouTube page. If you're watching it on our blog right now, well, you are an overachiever and you've already got there. So make sure if you're on the YouTube page right now, follow that link below the video over to our blog for 3 specific reasons. Reason number 1, I have posted for you all of the charts that I'm going to go over here tonight so you can download them for free. I also have about a dozen more what I'll call bonus charts. So I can't go over them all with you in this short period of time together, but if you follow the link below the video today, you can download all of our charts that we go over today as well as all the bonus charts. Second thing, upper left-hand corner, I have a special free pass for you boys and girls. Right? Come out and see me this week, any day this week here or next week in our live trade room. I want to open the doors to non-members of School of Trade so I can show you how easy it is for us to use those 3 steps to success, right? What are they again? Find the trend, find the setup, and find the entry pattern, right? That's how we make money every day, no matter what the market is trying to do to us. The third thing now is that if you want to get an email from me every time I send out this newsletter, give me your name and your email address right above my ugly mug, right? Pardon the mug there below it. But give me your name and your email address, and I'll send you an email every evening when my nightly newsletter is published. That way you don't need to wait around for me to finish the job. So 3 things here. 1, download today's charts, including today's bonus charts, by following that link below the video. I would also like to know if you have any feedback, if you like having this little slideshow below the video. I've been playing around with some different ideas to make it easy for you guys. So let me know how that's working out for you. The second thing here, of course, is going to be upper left-hand corner. I have that free pass for you. You might be wondering how we make profit in real time with this information I'm giving you here tonight. Take me up on the offer here for your free pass. Then, of course, last but not least, lower left-hand corner, you'll see that spot for your name and your email address so you can join our nightly newsletter. That way you always get all the good stuff delivered right to your inbox. So head on over to sidewaysmarkets.com. All the goodies are there for you. So let's jump right in here today, and let's take a look at what happened today. Well, first of all, we got a whole plethora of things to talk about here today. First of all, it is the third week of the month, which means traders are dealing with the OPEX week, right? OPEX is this Friday, 08:15. All right, be aware of that. That is this Friday, which means Wednesday is Wacky Wednesday. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Today was a summertime Friday. And a summertime Friday is almost just as low volume as a summer. I'm sorry. Is it wishful thinking? I'm backwards here. Apparently my dyslexia is kicking in here. I've got a summer Monday today. Boy, wasn't that wishful thinking, right? Summer Friday. Basking in the no. Today's summer Monday, which is pretty much the same as a summer Friday, right? It's going to be lower volume. Traders are daydreaming about being outdoors, right? Daydreaming about having a good time. They're not focused on their work. So summer Mondays, traders are getting off the beach. Summer Fridays, traders are daydreaming about being on the beach, right? So we all know how that goes. We have a very light news calendar this week too, right? Very light news calendar. If you look at the news this week, I'm going to go over with you guys in a moment, but if you look at the news this week, it is a very light calendar. And of course, that is to blame on OPEX, which also puts all of the emphasis on the geopolitical stuff, as well as any more news we hear about the economic stimulus in Europe, right? I was talking to my brother over the weekend, who's a director for a bank in London, and we were joking about my comment last week. He called me in the office. He said, did you just call Europe a joke? And I said, what are you talking about? You live in London. You're a U.S. citizen. He goes, actually, no, I pay taxes in both London and the U.S. But we were joking around, but he said, you're absolutely right. It is a circus here in the ECB right now, and everyone's really kind of walking on eggshells here. So that's going to be pretty important. Light news this week ahead of OPEX, but the geopolitical stuff and this news out of Europe. I think Europe will quickly take center stage this week. I'm going to talk more about that in a moment, though. What else do we have here? Everybody seems to have calmed down. It's amazing how this works, right? Something new happens. The news media just throws gasoline on the fire, no pun intended out there in the Middle East. But the reality is last week the news media completely sensationalized this whole thing. Right? I mean, you would have thought the world was coming to an end, right? We got Israel and Gaza, which, by the way, newsflash. The whole thing in Israel and Gaza is nothing new, and I'm in my early 30s. This has been going on my entire life. So I'm still wondering why everybody decided to pick up a video camera and go on YouTube last week. It's almost like, where the hell has everybody been for the last 30 years? Who cares? I mean, I get it, They're putting kids, they're using children as human shields in Gaza, right? Hamas, and I get the whole thing, but this is not new. So it was not surprising to see everybody get back to regular life here this week. I always love, though, hearing from Russia and Ukraine, right? What a joke this whole situation has become, right? Russia says, well, yes, we really want to do everything for the humanity. Really? Really? Are we kidding right now? And of course, Kerry is about as sharp as a bowling ball, right? So it's just one thing after another. What a joke, right? Regarding this whole situation in the Middle East, we've almost forgotten about this whole snafu in Iraq. Yeah, right. Wasn't that supposed to be the end of the world like a month ago? Yeah. Blah blah blah. Fear, fear, fear. You get the point. We talk about this every few days, right? So apparently today, all it took was a little bit of Chinese inflation. Now, Chinese inflation is not number 18 on the menu for the local Chinese restaurant. All right, I know what you're thinking, right? That's not that Chinese inflation, but that's what got the markets jumping today. Is we had news from China, and remember, when China sniffles, right, the U.S. gets a cold. When the U.S. gets a cold, the world gets the flu. Okay, that's what's going on right now. Now, remember, the big thing about China is that when the Chinese economy slows down, it affects everything else, and of course, the domino effect happens. So everyone's always so wishy-washy about China. Not that we should trust a single thing coming out of there, right? Coming out of Shanghai really? The fact that we even trust any of this news coming out of there is kind of a surprise to begin with. But that was what sparked everything, right? It was a lower than expected inflation report. That's what got everybody going. And that lit the fuse. And then apparently everybody is all hopped up on SPF fumes, right? They still got water in their ears. They forgot about last week, and they go, yeah, Israel, Gaza, whatever. Ukraine, yeah, I get it. It feels like everybody just said, what problems? So equity markets jump, gold collapses back down, crude evens out. News from China, though, right, got it all revved up this morning. It really did. Got it all revved up this morning, this news from China, right? Geopolitical on the back burner. So this is what's going on right now, right? This is what resulted in crude oil sideways today. This is what resulted in the E-minis, right? The equities higher today. And this is what resulted in gold going lower, right? For the most part, gold pushing lower. It is lower sideways right now, but that's what happened today. Okay, so Russell jumps, but will it last, right? Gold looks like a nightmare right now, completely going sideways. And crude oil, it feels like crude is waiting to hear what the next thing about Europe is right now. We've been worried, or not worried, but it's been very interesting to see how crude oil not responding to the violence in the Middle East. That's old news, right? The old days of where crude respond positively, right, to stimulus coming out of the Middle East. I'll tell you, back a few years ago, if you even said the word is Israel, right, things would just go bonkers with crude. Not the case right now. So it's very clear that crude traders are waiting on Europe. It's very clear that equities pushed higher based on this little issue, this little news report coming out of China. Maybe it continued because of lack of geopolitical news on the back burner. We have very little economic news this week. So all of this really kind of lines up into today was a summertime Monday. Today was your classic summer Monday. While the cat's away, the mice will play. It felt like today all of the big money was too busy driving their mega yachts, right, in the Mediterranean. They weren't paying attention to what was happening in the markets. A little bit low volume on a summertime Monday. As you can see here, jumping right into our charts here this afternoon, though, we can definitely see, though, this Russell. And I feel like I'm in one of those mafia movies, right? Just when I think I'm out, they pulled me back in, right? So here we are, right back up into that very frustrating area here, right? We're stuck between the two long-term moving average, short-term moving average. We can see here we're now stuck right between the two. And we can see from the past, when we get stuck in the mud here, we tend to stay there for a while. So this may be a sign of things to come here later on this week. We're going to wait and see what that looks like, though, on the Russell. Moving forward, though, on this Russell, looking at this 32 anchor chart. Now, you got to remember, again, what got this whole thing moving on the Russell was some news out of China, but that's what kind of lit the fuse. You'll see, though, there was not a single look back, right? Not a single pullback. It simply got going and never looked back here. Last Friday afternoon into, of course, this morning, and then you can see here the profit taking up near these highs. Now, at first glance, this looks like, oh, baby, back up the truck. We're going to 1,200, right? New higher high, pull back. Yeah, baby, let's start buying. But I don't mean to be the party pooper on this one. But if I zoom out a little bit further, you can see, and if you remember, this is exactly what I talked about last week. Remember last week what I said? When we have a downtrend like this, okay, going down, going down, going down, going down, oops-a-daisy, we jump up. Now, guys, don't take this the wrong way, but anyone can put together a rally for a few hours. Anybody. It's half profit taking off the lows, right? It's half bargain hunting, or maybe a quarter bargain hunting, right? Buying those lows. But the majority of it today, for what it felt like today, was that China got the whole thing started. There was nothing in our way to stop it because it was low volume, right, being a summer Monday. And, of course, nobody even talked about this whole geopolitical news, right? All the politicians are going, yeah, we're brokering a deal, right? I want this to end. That's funny. That wasn't what you said last week, but I won't even bring that up anyways, right? So we know that price jumps up. This, in my opinion, is a very difficult spot here to be in. Because like I said, anybody can put together a rally on low volume, right, late in the session, late in the week, last week, that turns around you, right? So what I always talk about in the trade room is I'm not going to be ready to buy here yet. In fact, I'm still looking for the sell side here right now, because most of the time, as you can see here, right, we're coming down, bam, right? There's your rally. Now, here's where they've got to earn their stripes. We get this jump up. If we pull back and still keep going, okay, now you got my attention. But as far as I'm concerned, though, I'm looking to sell this baby right now down to these buy zones. And I'm going to keep a runner target all the way down at these lows, because I wouldn't be surprised one bit if this is just a little short covering rally, right? It's a little bit of a low volume move on a summertime Monday. So that's my strategy. You're going to see this for quite a few of these charts right now, is that right now I'm leaning towards the sell side because I'm at the top of this range now, right? The long-term range. We are in a great spot to be a long-term seller. What I got to do, though, is I've got to really watch closely right here. I'm going to be taking profit here and profit here. So you got to make sure you're aware. Take your profit at that buy zone, but hold a bit of the position to see if you can get lucky. Then prove it to me, Russell. Prove it to me, gold. Prove it to me by going higher here and staying higher. Then, now we know. Bull channel, buying at discounts, and we're off to the races again. Okay? If you're a rookie trader, if you're a brand new trader, this is the environment right here that is made to really make you confused. Are we bullish? Are we bearish? Is this just a rally and a reversal back down? Or is this a get the hell away from me, sellers? The buyers are in control right now. As you can see, that's the scenario you're seeing a lot of. And this is nothing new. I talked about this last week as well. So now put this into the real chart. Now you can see what I'm talking about, right? So I zoom all the way out. I see I've got this big bear channel. So, and we talked about this in the trade room, right? We were looking for that short. We saw it go up, just jump up here this morning, and we said, well, the reality is I need a buy setup. Where's my buy setup? Exactly. Nowhere to be found. I'm not going to buy these highs, right? That is straitjacket crazy to buy those highs. I'm going to buy at a discount. So I'm going to buy the 1130. I'm going to buy the 1126.6. I'm going to buy the 1114.5. But because we can see we're at the top of this big bear channel, now we have nothing more than sell setups right now. Long-term trend is still down. So I am going to be focused right now on selling short. Like I said, prove to me, Russell. Pull back, hold that support, and go higher. Then you earn my respect. Then you earn my trust in the buyers right now. But right now, anybody can put together a rally for the first few hours of the session, and then continue that when all the rookies right around the water cooler come in and go, oh, we're buying? Okay, we're buying. Okay, we're buying. I guess we're buying. We'll buy then. Right? There's no smart money. Apparently their yacht connection, right, the Wi-Fi on their yacht didn't have them seeing this here today. Okay? So be aware. I am looking for the shorts here right now on the Russell, and sure enough, we conveniently have this nice little trend line here right now, and sure enough, this is looking like a pretty good spot for a bounce. So this is going to be a very interesting scenario here. If we break this trend line, you're probably going to have some easy money to make going short down to at least 1130. Again, I'm looking for three things here. I'm looking for, first of all, if we just jump off these, then we know, right? Then we know. This is a little bit more than just a low volume rally. So if we do start seeing higher highs here, I will follow that trend, and we'll know now this is looking more like a bullish change in the overall trend, not just a little whoops-a-daisy, right? Jump up to the highs and then collapse back down. But again, you get a lower low or two here, and now we can sell short because now you got that wide open space. There's nothing down here to catch me. That's the reality. We had this big move up, and when we talk about this in the room, whenever you see a big straight line like that, there's no rationality to that market. That is an irrational market. When a market moves straight up like this, it's just like somebody standing up in a crowded movie theater and yelling, fire. That's what's basically happening. Now, if the manager was to come in and say, guys, hold on, there's no fire here, there's no smoke, you don't smell it, I don't see any flames, the smoke detectors haven't gotten off yet, there's no alarms yet, sit back down, right? That's the problem. Right now, there's no smart money because it was a summer Monday. Again, you see where this is all going right now? So somebody stands up and says, fire, right? The manager comes in and says, back off the ledge, you bunch of yahoos, right? Sit back down. There's no fire. That didn't happen today. So it kept running. It's very rarely is it going to pull back and just keep going. Very, very rarely, right? This has gone, as we say in the room, off the rails. So when it goes off the rails like this, we just look for a chance to find some overhead resistance. We find the old M pattern, and whoops-a-daisy, we go right back down with it. This is where the term big pops equal big drops. This is where they come from. So right now, we really have a very easy scenario. If we see this price collapse here, I'm going short down to 1130. I then have my second area here. This is where those buyers have to get this job done. If we pull back into this 26 even area, and if we collapse, then we know right off the bat, we know what happened. All right, so that's why I said very little risk right now getting to a short as we go lower, because you know it's got to return back to the mean. You know we got to go at least at 1130, so you got some profit built into it. Then from there, where do we go from there? If we start going higher from there, okay, now you got my attention, buyers. But my gut tells me that's not going to be the case. My gut tells me that the reason why these equities were going lower to begin with, nothing has changed. This may have been a day without much news. This may have been a day where Kerry sharpened the old bowling ball in the Middle East, but I haven't seen any real progress yet. And so we'll be waiting to see what happens. In the meantime, though, I'm watching very closely here what happens next on the Russell. I'm very, very suspicious of the old Rusty and all the E-minis right now, just because, again, today was such low volume and that straight line higher. Moving forward here on the gold. Now, gold, another market that it just feels like we're walking on eggshells. It's tough to take this stuff seriously when the volume is so low. And we know that there's just so much stuff going on that it's easy to see how this could change like in an instant. So gold, you can see, still right in the middle of its range right now. Easy to see that. We see this jump, if you remember from last week, remember last Thursday's newsletter, I said it's about time. Finally, gold caught on to the whole geopolitical mess. We were still wondering at the end of July if gold had just kind of checked out of life here because we were still going lower. And we just didn't understand why hasn't gold caught on yet. Well, yeah, don't worry about them. They caught on last Thursday and Friday, right? And then sure enough, like I said, it feels like everybody went back to business as usual. Just fast it went higher, gold pulls right back, and now goes completely sideways right now. This is the same scenario that we saw in the Russell, right? Where again, I zoom all the way out, we say, oh, gold's on a tear. Well, no, it's not on a tear. It actually just went to the high of that range. This is the exact same scenario that I warned everybody about 36 hours ago, right? Last Thursday night. Now, so what do we got? 36, 48 hours ago? So we know that last Thursday we talked about this. Anybody can put together a rally for a few hours. You got my attention, gold. We sold off those highs, like I told you guys last weekend, or last Thursday. Now that we pull back here, do we go higher? If we are, then okay, buyers, you got my respect now. But as of right now, this looks nothing more, right, than a fear-mongering rally on gold. And then sure enough, without any of those fear-mongering news websites going right now we're going sideways. Everybody waiting to hear, right, what's going to be the next stupid thing out of a politician's mouth this week that we can sink our teeth into, okay? Now remember, as we go into OPEX, gold will be one of the least affected by OPEX, okay? So this is going to be one of those markets that you're barely going to even notice OPEX is affecting it. Crude oil, E-minis, definitely going to be worrying about those for OPEX. But gold will be completely tied to all that geopolitical mess that's happening right now. So I hate to say this right now, but we have a difficult spot here on gold. Again, on the Russell, we were advocating selling short on the Russell. Well, as you can see here on gold already made that move back lower. So gold's already made that move lower. Now the big question is, do we go higher and do we become a bullish trend now where now we start buying pullbacks? Or are we going to sit here sideways like it looks like might be the case until the next shoe drops? Or do we go lower? If we go lower, we have a problem in our hands here. We get a lot of support levels here right below us right now on this funny yellow metal. If you keep on going here a little bit faster here, you can really see now this range-bound market that's developed, right? It's not range-bound, it's consolidating. Lower highs, higher lows. You'll notice we're really stuck right now. And again, I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that we got the bejesus scared out of us last week, right? Well, hopefully we didn't all get, right? I'm sitting here going, what the hell's the big deal, man? This is nothing new. There was no news last week, but apparently everybody caught on to it last week. So again, catching up with us right now, we know that gold had no reason to keep going higher, collapses back down late on Friday, and now here Monday goes sideways in a low volume environment. If we go higher here, we can easily see a way to sell short. If we go lower here, right, we get an easy way here to buy long. So right now, I would suggest fading these moves here on the gold, right? Unless I can tell exact direction. You know, I'll quote my good friend Jim Rogers. Don't do anything until you know what the heck you're doing, right? Don't do anything until you know what you're doing. It seems like common sense, but it's amazing how day traders have to always be in the market. We can tell right now this gold doesn't have any idea where the hell it wants to go. So why are we forcing it? Stay away from this area right here and make the easy money. Now you could sell short going lower here to that 1302 area, but that's going to be difficult. You're trying to predict. I'd rather wait for price to get down in here, look for the reversal and buy the reversal. Wait for price to get up in here, right? Sell the reversal off the highs, right? Play this game. If the gold wants to do this, we can't change the game. We got to game the game, right? So be careful selling here going lower or buying here going higher until we get a little bit more information from this market. And again, we'll be listening in here closely throughout the week this week, trying to figure out, okay, where's the next fear mongering going to start? And that will tell us whether or not gold's going to be a buy or a sell here. Again, if we go higher here though and blow right through this area, you know, if we go up to test the area, we don't collapse, we keep going, we don't collapse, then we know, right? We know there's that underlying fear factor, and we'll have to be respecting the bull side. So now you know what the plan is on gold. We're looking for range-bound markets, buying lows, and selling highs on the gold. Last but not least here is the crude. Now get the kids, right? Get the young children out of the room here for this one. This is rated PG-13 because this one's just gross. You can see zooming in here right now, boy, we are just yuck. Right at the lower end of this channel, right? You can see it a mile away here. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. We talked about this. This is nothing new. We've known about this area for quite some time. We knew we're going into the lows of this long-term bull channel. We knew there was a 97, 96 to 97 area here that was going to provide us with some significant support. We got 97.12. If you recall from last week, I thought we would at least get down to 96 even. We weren't able to get 96, got about halfway there, and then all of a sudden it went sideways. Now, the real reason why crude oil is having such a difficult time right now is because of Europe. Okay, Europe is experiencing deflation right now. Their economy is slowing down drastically. Heck, a few months ago, they started paying people to borrow money from the ECB. Negative short-term interest rates, right? How cool is that? Well, guess what? It didn't work. Well, as Draghi would say it, please, just give it a few more months. I swear it's going to work, right? I think that's what he said, but that may be what I heard, right? What he said was it's in the medium term, not the short term, guys. We can't get anything done in the short term, right? This is Europe we're talking about here. Have you seen the parliament meetings, for crying out loud? It's a circus in there. They're throwing shoes, they're yelling and screaming. I'll tell you, I wish they would do that here in the United States. Anyways, It's all revolving around Europe right now. This slowdown in Europe is causing the euro to tumble. The euro tumbles, the USD, the dollar, of course, is the world's reserve currency. By de facto, the euro is a basket, right? The euro goes lower. The dollar is a basket of currencies made up mostly of the euro. If the euro goes lower, the dollar has to go higher. And so, of course, when the dollar goes higher, everything in relationship becomes cheaper, and that pushes price lower. Think of it this way. We have kind of like this little love triangle right now, right, between Europe, the US dollar, right, and crude oil, right? So here, of course, is Europe, right? And Europe, of course, right, the euro is going through a really big deflationary period right now, going lower. Remember, the US dollar is a basket of currencies, right? Because it's the reserve currency, right? So the US dollar index, you can't trade the dollar, you can trade the index, right? Ever noticed that before? Yeah. So because the US dollar is the reserve currency, and because the US dollar is made up of, 65%, 68%, something like that, of euro, when the euro goes down in value, right, that makes the dollar worth more in comparison to it. Are you still with me on this? I know, I bet you thought you left economics class back in 8th grade. So the dollar now goes up. Now what happens is, when my Benjamins, right, when my good old friend Ben Franklin, when he is worth more, I can now do what? I can afford more things. What happens when there's more abundance of stuff in my life? The value goes lower. What happens if there's fewer things in my available? Price goes higher because of scarcity, right? So this is what's happening right now. That's why crude oil has so much pressure to the downside, right? That's why they could be throwing bombs everywhere in the Middle East right now, and crude will still have difficulty going higher. In fact, if you ask my opinion, what I think is happening right now is the only reason why crude isn't at 75 right now is because of that violence we're seeing in the Middle East right now. Right? So that's the little love triangle here we see here on the euro, the USD, and crude. So that's what's keeping this crude kind of pushed down here. And you can feel those sellers continue to try, right? Because as we keep looking at this, we can see they're not giving up. They're definitely trying here. As I go to this 32 anchor chart, again, zoom all the way out here on my bonus charts. You can download all the bonus charts. You can see this big zoomed out chart for yourself here on your computer. But as you can see here, though, we've got a very significant downward trend here on crude. But we got that lower low, we got lower highs, but boy, does it feel a little bit wishy-washy right now, all right? What this feels like right now on crude, I grew up in New England, and in New England, on Christmas Day, there's a group called the Polar Bear Club. And the Polar Bear Club are a bunch of crazies, right? I did it when I was younger, but that was because I was a moron when I was a kid, right? I didn't have respect for my body. The Polar Bear Club, every Christmas Day, right, they would jump into this freezing cold water off the coast of southern Maine. I mean, we're talking like freeze your you-know-what's off cold, right? I've got to get back in the snow just to warm up after we're done. So every time I went out to watch these crazies jump in the water, right, there's always a few new people that don't dare go in the water, right? And so they stand on the edge of the water and they say, no, you go, please, no, you go. And what always happens is there's always somebody on the water, right, but they've been sipping the eggnog a little bit too long, and they come in and push everybody in, right? So what I'm seeing right now, what this feels like is it feels like the traders on crude are like those polar bears, right? The human polar bears, trying to get the confidence to jump into the ocean. No, you first. No, please, I insist. You have a bigger hat. You first, please. Oh, really? Me first? No, I insist. You go first. That's what it feels like right now, right? So you got the lows, of course, being tested. This 96.78's been here for weeks. We know about that for a while, right? We get the highs being tested, the lows being tested. We got flat moving averages. Very little trend right now. we still have that long-term fundamental reason why price is going lower. But right now, we have very few technical clues. In fact, if you look closely, if you stand on one foot and turn around, you can see an inverted head and shoulders there. Maybe, maybe not, right? So you can kind of see they're trying to go higher, but the only thing we've seen here from these buyers has really just been these little, again, you first, no, you first, no, you first, right? We've seen more strength to that downside. So right now, very obvious here, these crude traders, they're waiting for somebody to come in and push them in. That's what's happening. Right now, crude traders are waiting for something to force their hand at cards right now, right? To push them in one direction. Maybe it's Europe. Maybe it's Ukraine, right? Last time I checked, Putin still had his shirt on. He hadn't quite jumped on that polar bear yet. So if that happens this week, that may be what gets us going. We got to get something, though. And if we don't get that something, well, fine by me. We're going to keep buying these lows and selling these highs. Now, you'll notice we've got levels below you. That's where you want to be a buyer. If I had to guess, though, right now, I would say skip the buy side and focus on the sell side. 98.61, 99.09, 99.14, 99.47, $100 a barrel, and 181. I could easily see us jumping here on some random news report, right? This just in, something stupid happened in Ukraine, right? And price jumps. Low volume, oh, easy. I could easily see this, right? News flash, it'll come right back to where we came from. Okay, so I hope it jumps up here overnight so I can look for the short. We've got to keep a close eye on these highs and the lows. That's going to be where our money will be made here this week, most likely, until something changes. And what might that something be? I'll bet Draghi would love to come out with some big statement saying we're back on track. If Draghi at the ECB came out and for some crazy reason, right, Europe comes out of a nosedive and starts to go higher, well, hey, that would be enough to spark a rally. Combine that with some news from ISIS and a crisis, and right? Of course, price could rally here. So we're going to be keeping our eyes and ears open. Remember, it's a very light news schedule this week, so any bit of geopolitical news combined with the smart money being on their mega yachts, right? You know what I'm talking about. That could easily get this price moving. In the meantime, though, buy those lows, sell those highs. Here's a much easier look at this right now. And you can start seeing here the specific levels. Now, maybe you're a buyer right now. You can see we do have kind of a short-term, it's tough to call it a trend right now, but you can see, though, we did get somewhat of a higher high, right? We do have somewhat of higher lows, all right? Now, again, that's going to be a rookie trader move right there, not seeing, right, the big picture here, right? There's your range right here. So, don't be the sucker in the room. If you look around the room and you can't find the sucker, go find a mirror because you're the sucker. We know right now that 99.09, that's top of the range. 96.55, that's the bottom of the range. And we are right smack, right in the middle here. So even though we do have some buyers here, right, again, I think the reason why the buyers stepped in is just for lack of anything else, right? The sellers are smart. They're just waiting here to see what happens next. We know, though, there's a buy zone here at 97.46, 97.31. That's going to be a very low percentage buy zone, but it is there. So if you did happen to go lower here and then pop up here, right, that would be a chance to buy. I personally, though, would be more interested in the 96, 98 area, right, getting down around that last chance, right, buy zone here we talk about in our trade room. So I've got 96, 98, 96, 78. I would really, though, be eyeing this low, 96.55, right, buying that low if those sellers fail. Again, the hard part right now is going to be staying patient. The easy money is going to come buying at the low or selling at the high. And we actually have a great spot up here at 99.46, 99.14. If this was to jump up here, we'll be looking for those reversal patterns off that high back into the middle. All right, so be careful with the middle here on crude right now. We go lower, buy those lows. We go higher, we sell those highs. Again, knowing the fundamentals behind this right now, Europe pulling it down, Middle East pushing it up. Until something changes, this is my plan here on Crude. And as always, if you want real-time updates on this, if you want to know what I'm seeing right now, because, I'd be lying to you right now. The Russell had this little wimpy push higher today. Well, not really that wimpy, but it was, it was a low volume move higher, right? Russell went higher. That could easily collapse. You've got gold that basically backed off the ledge and going sideways right now. Gold's waiting on the next shoe to drop. And then you got crude, right? Crude oil right in the middle of this range right now. I'm leaning towards the bear side still, but again, everything right now appears to be looking like we just kind of picked up where we left off last week. One last thing. Keep this in mind this week. Big move down over the last 2 weeks. Anyone can put together a rally for one afternoon. Show me you really mean it. Show me you really love me, gold, right? Show me you mean it, crude. Show me you mean it, Russell. We're going to pull back into these buy zones, right? Look to sell short down to the buy zones and then watch closely to see, do these buyers grab it or do the sellers have it, right? That's going to be the big, I'll tell you, whoever figures that out this week is going to make the money this week. All right? Don't say I didn't warn you. So, last but not least here, let's check my schedule here for tomorrow. Check my schedule for tomorrow's news. And we have another really just weak news day tomorrow too. Not a lot of news on the calendar for tomorrow. As I zoom in on this, you can see now, no major news overnight. I've got news starting early tomorrow morning in Europe. We have basically nothing in the U.S. We got my gal Janet Yellen's favorite report, the JOLTS, right? And we got Treasury budget before we have the Bank of Japan's minutes tomorrow evening. So we do not have a lot of stuff, right, to be worried about here right now on the economic calendar, as you can see here. So tomorrow morning, we've got 4 o'clock and 5 a.m. Now, that German ZEW is no joke. That is a pretty important news report. So we will be really focusing tomorrow morning on Europe. Again, Europe is going to be a big, Europe is going to be, what was his name? Pinocchio's owner, the puppet master. What the heck was his name? Pinocchio's owner. What was his name? I can't recall. Maybe you guys can put it in the comments here. It's going to kill me. But anyways, though, Germany is the largest economy in Europe. If we see a disappointing ZEW, now the ZEW is a very good report. It's a business survey among business owners. All right, that's what ZEW means in German, business survey. I'm just messing with you, right? But we know though that that's going to be 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock tomorrow, right? Italy just went into a technical recession last week. Germany had very weak reports the past few weeks. Is this going to push crude? We shall see. We'll be watching tomorrow morning, 4 o'clock, 5 a.m. Eastern time. Then we jump on down here at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning for the JOLTS report. All right. Now, JOLTS overall is a very small news report, but we've recently kind of made a joke of it because Janet Yellen was commenting on about saying that was her favorite report, right? The job openings and layoffs, because nobody even takes the jobless claims seriously anymore. Then we have the Treasury budget. Obama totes that he has, of course, dropped the deficit pretty significantly here in the United States. So they will, of course, be hearing about that tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. And then we'll talk about tomorrow's Bank of Japan meeting minutes tomorrow evening. We'll talk about that in tomorrow's newsletter. All right. Don't forget, we got OPEX Friday. And again, as you can see here, we have very little major news here. Tomorrow early morning, Wednesday early morning, Thursday, jobless claims is a joke, and then Friday's not right. Friday's OPEX Friday. So we have a very, very, very weak calendar here this week regarding economic news. Keep an eye out, though, tomorrow morning, though, for that German ZEW. I'd be interested to see what happens tomorrow morning coming out of Germany, because again, that's the that's the puppet master of this crude oil price right now. All righty. Now that you know my plan for tomorrow, And remember, a lot of my plan tomorrow is to sit on hands and really wait and see what happens next. We haven't heard that a lot lately, but right now we definitely have some concerns here as far as where we go long term. I'll be in my trade room tomorrow morning here at School of Trade. Join our free trial. I get a free pass for you guys, part of the trial, to come out and see us in the trade room. Also, don't forget, we got someone standing by here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I promise you, English is their first language. You will not be frustrated by our live support. And we've got 3 levels of membership. Guys and gals, I want to thank you so much for being a part of our newsletter. We get a great week ahead of us this week. Keep in touch. We'll see you tomorrow in the trade room. And don't forget, for real-time updates and live trade calls, become an advanced member and join me in my trade room, and we'll do it all together. Keep learning it so you can earn it, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. If not tomorrow morning, tomorrow evening, back at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for our nightly newsletter. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.